Bola returned home to find the door wide open and Amina gone. She cried out in despair and spent the night alone, caring for her sister. The next morning, she found the first pearl and realized Amina had left a trail for her. Determined, Bola set off on a long journey to find her sister, following the pearls through the jungle. After months of travel, Bola arrived near a large town where the trail ended. Knowing she needed a disguise, she found an old tiger's skin by the roadside. She washed it and wore it over her beautiful face and body, transforming herself into a haggard old woman. Using a stick for support, she hobbled toward the town, continuing to drop pearls until she reached the palace gate. Then she felt certain her sister must be somewhere near. But where? She did not know. She longed to go into the palace and ask for her. But no guards would have let such a wretched-looking old woman enter. And she did not dare offer them any of the pearls she had with her, lest they should think she was a thief. So she determined merely to remain as close to the palace as possible, and wait till fortune favored her with the means of learning something further about her sister. Just opposite the palace was a small house belonging to a farmer, and the princess went up to it and stood by the door. The farmer's wife saw her and said, "Poor old woman, who are you? Why are you here? Have you no one in the world?" "Alas, no," answered the princess. "I am a poor old woman and have neither father nor mother, son nor daughter, sister nor brother, to take care of me. All are gone and I can only beg my bread from door to door." "Do not grieve, good mother," answered the farmer's wife. "Kindly, you may sleep in the shelter of our porch and I will give you food." So the princess stayed there for that night and for many more. And every day the good farmer's wife gave her food. But all this time she could learn nothing of her sister. Now there was a large tank near the palace on which grew some fine lotus plants covered with rich crimson lotuses, the royal flower, and of this the queen was very fond indeed, and prized them very much. To this tank, because it was the nearest to the farmer's house, the princess would go every morning, very early, almost before it was light, at about 3 o'clock, and take off the old tiger's skin that helped her to look like an old woman, and wash it, and hang it out to dry, and wash her face and hands and bathe her feet in the cool water, and comb her beautiful hair. Then Bola would gather a lotus flower, such as she had been accustomed to wear in her hair as a child, and put it on, so as to feel for a few minutes like herself again. Thus she would amuse herself. Afterwards, as soon as the wind had dried the old skin, she put it on again, threw away the lotus flower, and hobbled back to the farmer's door, before the sun was up. After a time the queen discovered that someone had plucked some of her favorite lotus flowers. People were set to watch, and all the wise men in the kingdom put their heads together to try and discover the thief. But to no avail. At last, the excitement about this matter being very great, the queen's younger son, a brave and noble young prince, said, "I will certainly discover this thief." It chanced that several fine trees grew round the tank. Into one of these the young prince climbed one evening, and there he watched all the night through, but with no more success than his predecessors. The lotus plants lay still in the moonlight, without so much as a thieving wind coming by to break off one of the flowers. The prince began to get very sleepy and thought the thief, whoever he might be, could not intend to return when, in the very early morning, before it was light, who should come down to the tank but an old woman he had often seen near the palace gate. "Ah, ha!" thought the prince, "this then is the thief, but what can this queer old woman want with lotus flowers?" Imagine his astonishment when the old woman sat down on the steps of the tank and began pulling the skin off her face and arms. And from underneath the shriveled yellow skin came the loveliest face he had ever beheld. So fair, so fresh, so young, so gloriously beautiful, that appearing thus suddenly it dazzled the prince's eyes like a flash of lightning. Ah, thought he, can this be a woman or a spirit? A devil or an angel in disguise? The princess twisted up her glossy black hair and, plucking a red lotus, placed it in it, and dabbled her feet in the water, and amused herself by putting round her neck a string of the pearls that had been her sister's necklace. Then, as the sun was rising, Bola threw away the lotus and, covering her face and arms again with the withered skin, went hastily away. Captivated, the younger prince resolved to marry her. When the younger prince got home, the first thing he said to his mother was, "Mother, I should like to marry that old woman who stands all day at the farmer's gate, just opposite." "What?" cried the queen. "You are mad. Marry that skinny old thing. You cannot. You are a prince. Are there not enough princesses in all the world that you should wish to marry a wretched old beggar woman?" But he answered, "Above all things I should like to marry that old woman. You know that I have ever been a dutiful and obedient son. In this matter, I pray you, grant me my desire." Seeing he was really in earnest about the matter, and that nothing she could say would alter his mind, she agreed. Not, however, without telling him in no uncertain terms what a terrible mistake he was making, and sent out the guards, who fetched the old woman, who was really the princess in disguise, to the palace, that she was married to the younger prince as privately, and with as little ceremony as possible, for the queen wanted no one to know of the matter. As soon as the wedding was over, the younger prince said to his wife, "Gentle wife, tell me how much longer you intend to wear that old skin? You had better take it off. Do be so kind." The princess wondered how he knew of her disguise, or whether it was only a guess. She thought, "He seems kind, but if I take off this ugly skin, my husband will think me pretty and perhaps he will shut me up in the palace and never let me go away. And then I shall never be able to find my sister. No, I had better not take it off." So she answered, "I don't know what you mean. Nobody can change their skin." This she mumbled as if she were a very old woman indeed, and had lost all her teeth and could not speak plain. At this the younger prince laughed very much to himself and thought, "I'll wait and see how long this lasts." But the princess continued to keep on the old skin. Only every morning at about 3 o'clock, before it was light, she would get up and wash it and put it on again. Then some time afterwards the younger prince, having found this out, got up softly one morning early and followed her to the next room, where she had washed the skin and placed it on the floor to dry. Stealing it, he ran away with the skin and threw it on the fire. So the princess, having no old skin to put on, was obliged to appear in her own likeness, as she walked forth. Very sad at missing her disguise, her husband ran to meet her, smiling and saying, "How do you do, my dear? Where is your skin now?" Soon the whole palace had heard the joyful news of the beautiful young wife that the younger prince had won, and all the people when they saw her, cried, "Why, she is exactly like the beautiful princess our young prince married, the forest lady." The younger prince took her to introduce his bride to his older brother's wife. No sooner did the princess enter her sister-in-law's room, than she saw that in her she had found her lost sister, and they ran into each other's arms. Great then was the joy of all, But the happiest of all these happy people were the two princesses who were at last reunited, and they lived together in peace and joy their whole lives long.